Mom, this is my last birthday. Don't say that, you're going to get better, I told her. She shook her head, her expression dead serious. The recorder is inside the teddy bear. When I'm gone, listen to him, but don't tell Dad anything. Promise me. I promised, with tears streaming down my face. A few days later, she was gone. At the funeral, I hugged the teddy bear tightly, and when I pressed play, I heard something that changed everything. Welcome to the channel. My name is Sarah Thompson. I'm 35 years old, and I live on the outskirts of San Diego. I work as a receptionist at a clinic, and I've raised my daughter, Clara, alone ever since her father vanished from our lives. For years, I thought I had already been through the worst, until life took Clara from me. She was 7 when she was diagnosed with a degenerative disease, one of those that doctors explain with cold words while they shatter your soul. I remember that sterile white office, the walls covered in children's drawings, and the doctor's voice sounding like a distant echo. We spent the last 3 months in the hospital. I came and went with bags of clothes, paperwork, and medication. She, stronger than I ever was always smiling, wearing ridiculous tiaras, and painting her nails with bright, flashy colors. She even cracked jokes with the nurses, but the one thing she never let go of was her teddy bear, an old, slightly crooked stuffed animal she had named Barnaby. She slept with him, took him to her appointments, and whispered secrets to him. She said Barnaby listened. Sometimes, while I was combing her hair, I'd wonder how it was possible that she could still laugh. Clara had this way of resisting, of not letting the illness rob us of everything. She was small, but she had the gaze of someone who had already seen too much. One night, as the IV machine beeped softly and the hallway lights cast a yellowish glow into the room, Clara looked at me with those tired little eyes and whispered, "Mom." "I'm right here, my love," I answered, moving closer to her bed. She squeezed my hand with a strength I didn't know she still had. Her eyes weren't a child's in that moment. They were serious, almost adult-like, as if she knew something I didn't. "When I'm not here anymore, listen to Barnaby." "What?" I asked, not understanding. "The recorder is inside him. Listen to it when I'm gone." I fell silent, a lump forming in my throat. I thought it was her imagination, a game to make me smile, or a symbolic way of saying goodbye. I nodded without thinking, just to soothe her. She turned her face to the wall and didn't speak of it again. I stayed there, my hand on hers, watching the shadows in the hallway and trying not to cry. 2 days later, Clara died. At the funeral, I didn't let go of the teddy bear for a second. People looked at me strangely, as if it were some eccentricity. I could hear their whispers. "She's in shock. She can't get over it." I didn't care. That stuffed animal was the only thing I had left of her. I felt that if I let it go, I would lose her forever. That night, lying in her bed, the room still smelling of the hospital and strawberry shampoo, I hugged Barnaby. The silence was so deep I could hear my own breathing. Suddenly, a click broke the stillness. I sat up with a jolt. Something had shifted inside the bear. A shiver ran down my spine. With trembling hands, I found a pair of scissors and cut a side seam. My fingers touched something hard, a small device. It was a recorder. My heart leaped into my throat, my hands shaking. I pressed the play button, and then Clara's voice began to come out of the teddy bear. Her tone was different, firm, almost secretive, and what she was saying didn't sound like the ramblings of a child. I pressed the play button again. The sound was soft, with muffled noises, as if the microphone was hidden among pillows. For a moment, I thought it was just any old recording, until I heard her voice. "Today is Monday, and Mom isn't here. She went to work. I'm with Aunt Megan, and with Dad. Ethan." A knot formed in my stomach. Ethan had been my husband for 5 years, and was Clara's father. He disappeared from our lives when she was 3. He said he wasn't ready to be a dad, that he needed to find himself. He never came back. Megan, my sister, always told me it was for the best, that cowardly men do things like that. Hearing his name in Clara's voice sent a chill down my spine. Auntie said it will only be for a few days, but I can't tell Mom anything. She says it will be easier this way. I paused the recording, my chest aching. I wanted to rewind, to listen again, to confirm I wasn't imagining it, but the next audio file started immediately. Yesterday, I heard them talking. Dad said that if I say anything, Mom could get hurt, and I don't want that, but I'm scared, really scared. Clara, you were scared and I didn't even realize. I thought it was the illness, the exhaustion, the sadness, but no, it was real fear. Fear of two people who should have never, ever hurt her. My hands were shaking. I fumbled with the button on the small digital recorder as if I could turn back time, but I only managed to skip forward. Auntie thinks I'm too tired to understand what they're talking about. And Dad thinks I can't hear anything anymore, but I do hear and I remember everything. They talk about a hospital, about money, about making a report disappear. My heart raced. They were using her to cover something up, or to get something. What could it all mean? Then another recording began, quieter, more tense. It was Ethan's voice. The kid is already very weak. She's not going to last much longer. Megan's voice responded quickly. She just hugs that bear. She barely even talks. We don't have to worry. As long as she doesn't say anything, we're fine. I froze. As long as she doesn't say anything. The treatment, that last treatment, before everything got worse, when Clara stopped responding, when the doctor said it was the natural course of the disease. But what if it wasn't? What if they had caused something irreversible, knowing no one would suspect? Who would harm a sick little girl? And why? Another recording started. Barnaby, take care of this for me. I hid it well. Nobody knows, only Mom. If you're listening to this, it's because I didn't make it, but I needed you to know. They're lying. Don't believe them. Auntie and Dad did something. I tried to be strong, but now it's your turn. I closed my eyes. She knew she wasn't going to get out of that situation, and still, she recorded everything. She hid it inside Barnaby. For me. Even though she couldn't speak, even though she was terrified, she trusted me. I cried. Not like I had cried at the funeral or in the hospital. I cried like a broken woman who had just witnessed her daughter's innocence being betrayed. I stood up, my legs trembling. I looked at the recorder and pressed the off button. I needed air. I needed to figure out how to start seeking justice. But above all, I needed to know one thing. What exactly had Megan and Ethan done? And most urgently, why? I slept poorly, haunted by dreams of Clara hugging her bear, while distorted voices repeated the phrase, "As long as she doesn't say anything, we're fine." I woke up drenched in sweat, my heart pounding and my mind on fire. I had to confront Megan. I couldn't just accuse her. Not yet. I needed to look her in the eyes, to understand what had really happened, and to see if I could catch her in a lie. I drove straight to her house. It was the same one we played in as children. The garden looked the same, but the front door now had an electronic lock. Megan opened it with a forced smile. She was wearing yoga pants and holding a mug of tea. "Well, look who it is," she said, feigning warmth. "I needed to see you, to talk about Clara," I replied, hiding my rage behind my pain. Her face tensed just slightly. "I miss her so much too," she said, letting me in. The inside of the house was the same, but not entirely. On a side table was a framed photo of Clara at around 6 years old, with Megan. They were both laughing. It made me sick to my stomach. We walked to the living room. On the sofa, the same one where Clara used to watch cartoons, was a cushion with her name embroidered on it. "She loved being here," I commented, studying her reaction. "Yes," she sighed. "She was always so sweet and strong, a real fighter." I sat across from her. I took a small recorder out of my purse, not the one from the bear, of course, and placed it on the table. Megan frowned. "What's that?" "A way to not forget anything," I said. Then I lied. Clara left me a lot of voicemails. I want to make sure I don't lose a single one. She swallowed hard, watching me in silence. Then she took a sip of her tea. "And what do these notes say?" she asked, feigning disinterest. I stared at her for a few eternal seconds. Strange things, things that made me think, that made me come here today. Megan smiled tensely. "Don't you think you might be projecting, sis? You're hurt, you're confused. Clara was very sick." "I know," I replied. Then I lowered my voice. "And Ethan, does he miss her too?" The mug in her hand trembled slightly. "I haven't spoken to him in weeks," she lied without blinking. "That's funny. In one of the notes, Clara mentions him. She says he was here, that he was talking to you, that you had a plan." Megan's expression shifted from doubt to discomfort, but she didn't respond. "What kind of plan do you make with a dying little girl, Megan?" She stood up. "I think it's best if you leave," she said coldly. "You're overwrought." I stood up too. I pulled the teddy bear out of my bag and placed it on the table. Her face went pale. Not from nostalgia, from fear. Her eyes were fixed on the stuffed animal, as if it were a bomb about to explode. "Recognize him?" "It's just a stuffed animal," she said, avoiding my gaze. "It's not, Megan. It's her voice. It's everything you two tried to hide." She took a step back, nearly tripping over the coffee table. "You have no proof. No one will believe you." "We'll see about that," I said. I took the bear, the recorder, and walked to the door. Before leaving, I stopped. "By the way, Clara used to say you were her favorite aunt." I closed the door behind me. Outside, the sun blinded me for a second, but inside, it was already night. I didn't know how much time I had before they tried to silence me, but now I had something they didn't. The truth, and my daughter's voice. Ever since I left Megan's house, I haven't stopped listening to the recordings, over and over. Clara's voice, her weak breathing, the pauses filled with fear. I can't listen for more than 3 minutes at a time without tears blurring my vision. Every time I hear it, I feel like my soul is being torn apart a little more. But I persist because every word is a piece of the puzzle, and even though it hurts, it gives me strength. It was the only thing that still connected me to my daughter, her voice, her bravery, her pain. That night, I didn't sleep. I hugged the teddy bear to my chest and felt as if Clara were hugging me from wherever she was, as if she knew the fight was just beginning. At times, I thought I could hear her whispering to me, as if guiding me. I dreamed of her again. She was standing in the middle of a forest, wearing her sparkly tiara and with bare feet. She looked at me tenderly, then pointed towards something I couldn't quite see. I woke up with my heart pounding. Outside, the sky was just beginning to lighten. The next day, I took the recorder to someone I trusted, Evelyn, a forensic expert who now worked independently and discreetly. We had met years ago when I covered a child abuse case for the local newspaper. Evelyn was serious, precise, and hated silenced injustices. One of those people you know is loyal without them ever having to promise it. "I need to know if this can be used as evidence," I told her, my voice breaking. Evelyn listened to a few fragments, replaying 2 of them. Then she sat in a long silence, staring at the wall. "Do you have any idea what this means? If its authenticity is confirmed, this is explosive, but they will try to discredit you or intimidate you, or worse." "They've already started," I whispered, showing her a photo of the note I had received that morning. It was a piece of white paper with letters cut out from magazines. "Shut up or you'll end up like her." My stomach churned again, just remembering it. Fear numbed my fingers, but I also felt rage, a cold, firm rage that kept me standing. Evelyn took the note and examined it with a handheld magnifier. "I can try to look for prints, but the most important thing now is to protect that audio. Make several copies, one with me, one with someone else you trust, and stay away from Megan. If she's an accomplice, she could be dangerous." "She already is," I replied bitterly, and told her about my visit to her house, about her reaction to seeing the bear. It wasn't nostalgia, It was pure, disguised panic. Later that day, I called Megan, feigning ignorance. "Did someone leave you a strange note?" I asked, as if I were worried for both of us. "What? No, why?" Her voice trembled, though she tried to sound firm. "Never mind. It must be my paranoia. I thought maybe it wasn't just me." Silence. Then she hung up without saying goodbye. Her evasiveness no longer surprised me. That evening, I went to the place where we scattered Clara's ashes to leave her flowers. It was a small grove on the outskirts of the city, near a lake, her favorite spot as a child. She always said the wind was softer there, that you could hear the trees breathe. I used to think it was the fantasy of a sensitive child. Now, I wasn't so sure. I wanted to feel peace, but something unsettled me. A physical, prickling sensation. Someone was following me. I didn't see them, but I felt them. The air changed. The silence grew thick. The sound of my own footsteps seemed louder, and a noise behind me was rhythmic, cautious. I quickened my pace, clutching the teddy bear to my chest like a shield. I tried not to run. That would have been admitting fear, but my ragged breathing gave me away. When I reached the car, I glanced back. Nothing. No visible person, no shadow, but my body knew. I wasn't alone. I drove straight home, locked all the doors, secured the windows, and turned off the lights. I placed the teddy bear on the bed next to the pillow and stared at it for long minutes. "You trusted me, sweetheart," I whispered. "I'm not going to fail you." I sat on the floor of the room, surrounded by silence. Just me, the recorder, and the feeling that someone was watching us. I thought about calling Evelyn, but it was late. I didn't want to involve her more than necessary. I went to the bathroom, and when I returned minutes later, the front door was ajar, and the teddy bear was no longer on the bed. My first thought was, someone came in here. I stood paralyzed for a few seconds, staring at the empty bed. The teddy bear was gone. I tore the room apart, under the bed, behind the doors, in the laundry basket. Nothing. Fear swallowed me whole. Who would dare to touch that of all things? I called Evelyn. "The bear is gone. Someone got in." My voice was shaking. "Are you home now?" she asked. "Yes, the door was ajar. I'm sure I locked it." "Listen to me. Get out of there right now. Go to a public place. Meet me at the Grindhouse Cafe on Elm Street. I'm going to bring equipment to check your house later." She hung up. I obeyed without a second thought. I grabbed my purse, my phone, and left, my heart pounding in my temples. On the way, I checked my rearview mirrors at every stoplight. When I arrived, Evelyn was already there, sitting at the back of the coffee shop with her laptop open and an untouched coffee in front of her. "Are you okay?" she asked, looking around. "Yes, but the bear. It was all I had." I sat down across from her. Evelyn typed something on her computer and discreetly turned the screen towards me. It read, "I made a secure backup of the audio last night. It's saved to the cloud, encrypted. No one can delete it." I breathed a sigh of relief. "But this just confirms they're watching you. We have to get ahead of them." She put on her headphones and listened again. Suddenly, she paused. "Listen to this," she whispered, rewinding a few seconds. She passed me the headphones. Clara's voice was faint, trembling. "If you're hearing this, it's because I couldn't tell you everything. Aunt Megan was talking to a man. I think it's my dad. She said the deal was to make me disappear before I got any worse." A lump formed in my throat. I paused the audio. "I think it's my dad." But she never knew him, and I never told her who he was. She figured it out on her own. Evelyn leaned forward. "This is more serious than we thought. It wasn't medical negligence, it was premeditated. Clara discovered something. Something very serious." "But what? What could a little girl have overheard?" Evelyn sighed. "Maybe a compromising conversation, a secret, something she wasn't supposed to know." I closed my eyes and remembered the question I had asked Megan days ago, about the plan Clara mentioned. She pretended to know nothing. "Now it's clear she knew," I murmured. "She and Ethan were in on this together." Clara found something out, and that's why they wanted to silence her. Evelyn nodded slowly. Something might have happened to Clara even before the diagnosis. Maybe they induced her illness or used it in some way. But we'll only know with more proof. Let's go to the police. Evelyn hesitated. Not yet. We need something solid, something that places both of them at the scene with clear intent. Do you trust me? I do, she stood up. We're going to Megan's house with a hidden recorder. You're going to make her talk, and I'll be outside, listening to everything, ready to intervene if something happens. Megan opened the door with wide, surprised eyes. But before she could say anything, a man's voice from inside asked, "Who is it, honey?" And a chill ran down my spine. I knew that voice. Megan looked more defeated than ever. Grey sweatshirt, hair carelessly tied back. She hesitated when she saw me, and when Ethan appeared at the end of the hallway, calling her honey before heading upstairs, everything inside me churned. It wasn't just about Clara. It was the complete betrayal of a sister who had known my tears and was now hiding the man who destroyed my daughter. "You're persistent, huh?" she said, her voice tired. "Fine, come in." I entered, my heart in my throat. The house looked the same, but the air was heavy as lead. In the kitchen, she offered me coffee. I refused with a wave of my hand. I sat down. She did too. "I know what you and Ethan did," I said immediately. The color drained from her face. "You don't know anything," she replied weakly. "Clara knew, and she left a message. You lied about her illness, you used her name to raise money, and when she got worse, you decided to do nothing." Megan looked at me with tears in her eyes but said nothing. "How could you? She was your niece, a little girl." She broke down crying, trying to speak but only mumbling between sobs. I leaned towards her, trembling. Was it for the money? Or for him? Was his love worth more than Clara's life? "I didn't know it would end like this," she cried out. "At first, Ethan said it was temporary, that we needed money urgently for a costly treatment, that everything would be okay." "And you believed him?" "I loved him. Yes, I believed him. Then I saw him forging documents, manipulating everything. When I wanted to stop, he threatened me. He said if I talked, everyone would know I was an accomplice from the beginning. He had me trapped." "So you let her die?" "No, I tried to save her. I begged him to take her to a real hospital. But it was too late. He said if Clara survived, she would tell everyone, that she would ruin everything." Silence. Only her weeping filled the kitchen. "You had a relationship with him while I was mourning him." Megan lowered her head. "It was after he left your house. We reconnected. And yes, I fell in love. He promised me things. He said everything would be different. And Clara was the price you paid for his promises." She nodded, an almost imperceptible movement. "Did you know about the teddy bear?" "No, but when I saw you with it, I understood she knew more than she let on, that she had left us something. And why confess everything now? Because I saw you with the proof, because I know you have the recordings. And if anyone should know all of this, it's you. I can't carry this anymore. I don't sleep, I don't breathe, I'm nothing." I looked at her. I didn't know whether to feel pity, hatred, or shame. "You know the worst part," I said. "It's not that you let Clara die. It's that you planned it, and you were her favorite aunt." I stood up and grabbed my purse. She didn't try to stop me. I walked out of that house without looking back. Outside, Evelyn was waiting for me in the car. "Did you get it?" she asked. "Everything, the confession, the motive, the truth. Clara didn't die in vain, and now no one else has to suffer because of them." Evelyn nodded. I looked up at the sky. Clara was right all along, and I had been blind. 3 days later, Megan disappeared. Ethan claimed to know nothing, but I knew this wasn't the end. It was the beginning of the reckoning. Megan's confession gave me the missing piece, but knowing wasn't enough. I needed to prove it, and I needed justice. In the days that followed, I took the recording to my lawyer. I also handed over the documents Ethan had forged. Clara had hidden copies among her old drawings, as if she knew they would be useful one day. Those were tense days. A formal complaint was filed, and the case was reopened. Clara's name was in circulation again, and with it, the truth they had buried with her. The press began to investigate on their own. One headline was all it took: Aunt confesses role in death of child cancer patient. After that, everything spiraled out of control. TV shows, parenting blogs, human rights influencers, everyone was talking about the case. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. My house became a site for vigils. They arrested Ethan first. At his house, they found offshore bank accounts, forged medical contracts, and even expired medications, the same ones they used on Clara. The fraud involved a network of doctors and private clinics, and it was estimated that he and Megan had made over $300,000 in 2 years. They had used Clara's illness to test an alternative treatment that was not only useless, but when administered in excess, accelerated her organ failure. They killed Clara before the disease ever had a chance to beat her. Megan turned herself in a few days later, pressured by the media and perhaps by guilt. Her family turned their backs on her. Not a single cousin, not an uncle, not even my own mother wanted to see her. I spoke with my mom myself. How could she do that, Mom? To her own niece? I don't know, she said, but she stopped being my daughter the moment she betrayed Clara. And you. At the hearing, Megan tried to justify her actions. She said she was sorry, that Clara appeared to her in dreams, that she couldn't live with it anymore. I'm not here to forgive you, I said when they gave me the floor. I'm here for Clara, for the little girl you two killed long before the disease ever won. Both were convicted of first-degree murder, forgery, medical fraud, and obstruction of justice. The verdict was read on national television. Clara's name became a symbol. On the day of the sentencing, a crowd applauded outside the courthouse. Someone held up a sign that read, "Clara's voice won." I received letters, messages, and hugs I never could have imagined. Mothers thanked me for not staying silent. Ethan's family apologized to me. They said they didn't know the kind of monster he was, and maybe that was true. No one could have imagined he was capable of such a thing. Today, I keep Clara's teddy bear in a glass case in my bedroom. Sometimes I still hear her voice. Sometimes I still dream of her. Weeks after the trial, while going through some of her papers, I found a letter written in a child's crooked handwriting on a piece of colored paper. If I don't get better, Mommy, don't be sad. I know you're going to find out everything, and you're going to be very strong. I love you all the way to the sky. Signed, Clara. I cried for hours, not from pain, but from relief, from gratitude for having had her, for having her trust until the very end. Today I don't feel guilt. I feel pride. I feel that she was bigger than all of us, that she fought until her last breath, that she trusted me to find the truth. And I found it. Justice was served, but the price was high. Let this story be a warning. The enemy isn't always far away. Sometimes they're sitting right at the table with us. Has anything like this ever happened in your family? If it had, what would you have done? Comment the phrase Clara's voice if you made it this far. And for more stories of justice, make sure to subscribe to Velvet Vendetta.